Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into the hidden world of terrorist financing. It's this constant cat and mouse game, a real technological and strategic arms race between global security forces and the shadowy networks that fund violence.
Okay, so right off the bat, let's nail down a crucial distinction that most people get wrong. You've heard of money laundering, right? That's all about taking dirty money from crime and making it look clean. But terrorist financing? That's often the exact opposite. It's about taking perfectly clean money, say from donations or even a regular salary, and hiding its ultimate violent purpose.
To really understand this arms race, we've got to go back to the beginning, to the original playbook. And what's fascinating is that these groups didn't have to invent brand new financial systems. Nope. They just got incredibly clever at exploiting the systems we already had, systems built on trust, compassion, and complexity. And here they are, the three classic methods. First, they weaponized ancient trust networks like Hawala, because it's fast and anonymous. Then, they twisted the very compassion that fuels charities to give themselves a legitimate face. And finally, they buried their transactions in the sheer, overwhelming complexity of global trade. It was genius, in a way.
I mean, take Hawala, for example. It's an ancient and, honestly, a brilliant system that moves value across the globe based purely on a handshake, on trust, and a simple code. No money actually crosses a border during the transaction. For authorities trying to follow the money, it's like chasing a ghost in the machine.
And then, September 11th, 2001 happened. And just like that, everything changed. The attacks triggered nothing short of a revolution, a global awakening that forced us to completely rebuild the architecture of international finance from the ground up. The shocking thing that sparked this revolution wasn't how complex the financing was. It was how terrifyingly simple it was. $500,000, an attack that literally changed the course of modern history, was carried out on a budget that's less than a down payment on a house in a lot of cities.
Think about it. The hijackers used the most mundane, everyday tools you can imagine. Simple wire transfers, debit cards, regular old US bank accounts. Their financial footprint was deliberately boring, designed to blend in perfectly with millions of other transactions. The system wasn't necessarily broken. It was just looking for a completely different kind of threat. And the response? It was a lightning strike, incredibly swift and sweeping. We're talking just 45 days. In a little over a month, massive new laws like the USA Patriot Act were on the books, fundamentally rewiring global finance to fight a brand new kind of war.
So, as you can imagine, this story doesn't end there. Because as the world built higher and higher financial walls, the enemy just learned how to dig tunnels, find back doors, and invent entirely new ways to get around them. Hezbollah is a perfect case study of this evolution. They mastered this kind of hybrid model. They started operating less like a traditional terror group and more like a sophisticated global corporation that just happened to have a very profitable and very violent criminal division. And this scheme? It's just a masterclass in modern laundering. They connected South American drug money with the US used car market. They'd buy cars, ship them to West Africa, sell them for cash, and then smuggle that cash right back to Lebanon. It's this insane four-continent loop of dirty money. So here's the crucial part. The US didn't fight back with bullets, but with banking regulations. They used the Patriot Act to financially isolate the bank, completely cutting it off from the US dollar. It was basically a corporate death sentence, and it proved that sometimes exclusion from the system can be one of the most devastating weapons you have. Then ISIS came along and just ripped up the playbook all over again. They became a self-funding proto-state. They generated enormous wealth not from some secret foreign donors, but by controlling territory, oil fields, and tax revenue, just like a government would. But this global crackdown had a major, and I mean major, unintended consequence. It's something called de-risking. Banks got so terrified of these massive fines that they just started shutting out entire categories of customers, including completely legitimate charities. The irony is just staggering. It actually made it harder to get life-saving aid into the world's most dangerous places. And all of this brings us to the new battlefield, where we are today. The threat has morphed once again. It's become smaller, it's become faster, and it's become much, much harder to see. Just look at this comparison. It's mind-blowing. The cost of carrying out a mass casualty terror attack has absolutely plummeted.
The challenge has shifted from finding a financial needle in a haystack to trying to find one specific, nearly invisible grain of sand on an entire beach.
This has led to what some experts are now calling Nike terrorism. The idea is, just do it. An attack can be funded with pocket money from a legitimate job, a small personal loan, or even, and this is a real thing, by selling fake sneakers online.
So the new frontiers of this arms race are right here. We're talking about microfinancing from lone actors who get radicalized on the internet. We're talking about them exploiting social media and normal crowdfunding platforms. They're experimenting with crypto. The challenge is just immense. How do you find these tiny, almost meaningless transactions that are actually funding something terrible? And that's really the final question that defines this whole arms race, isn't it? When violence becomes this cheap, when a devastating attack can be paid for with the digital equivalent of pocket change, how in the world do you ever stop the money? That's the challenge security forces around the globe are grappling with right now.